What up, what up, what up? My name is Martin Govlock of Martin Govlock Company, aka CEO of the USA. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff that I know about.
Okay.
This is Expert Perspective by Martin Govlock Company. It's daily, so subscribe if you like it. We're not scared of you, so comment if you have something to say. We like you. Are you a liker? Like this episode if you like it and you're a liker.
Welcome.
A little background, I am mostly all self-taught. I have a degree in business, organizational management, but I learned marketing when I was in school because it was the first time I was introduced to digital stuff, having grown up in a fishing town. So I just learned how to do it, listened to the pros, and I just kept working at it till other marketers fell off and got lazy. I just keep going, look at the benchmarks. I figure out what the industry is doing, how they're performing, and I try to beat those benchmarks. In fact, I always try to double them and outperform everyone. Once I learned to do that, I helped make a lot of people money, some people a lot of money, and I even made myself some money. But it's all hard work and studying and staying on top of it. And I don't mind sharing, I don't mind helping for free. I'm just here to brag about what I know and how I can help. And if you see this, don't be shy to reach out. I know that sounds trite, but I mean it. And I hope that you do reach out if you are interested in anything, small or big. I'm going to first go by term and explain what it is, and then maybe how to be good at it, or the most important thing about it, or an example from the past. I don't really have too much of a stern format, so I figured just going down a bunch of stuff that I know about and then trying to talk about it without another person in the room to have a conversation with would be good. I'm going to first start with email marketing. It's in no particular order, by the way. Email marketing is basically collecting a list of people and then emailing them and not pissing them off. It's one of the most effective forms of marketing because it is very low cost and it converts at a high rate if you do it well. You get a lot of spam email, but you're not supposed to. You probably get a couple good emails every week, every month from companies. But if you know what you're doing and you're there to give information, entertain, give value, and you're creative about the way you do it, you can make people happy to see your emails instead of unhappy. And then if you're really good technically, you can get your emails out of the spam folder and into their mailbox, maybe into their promotions folder. And if you're super, super good, you can actually get them out of the promotions folder in something like Gmail and into their primary inbox if you know what you're doing. And the conversion rates go up the closer you get it to their personal day-to-day stuff. So I highly recommend at least starting it. You can have it on your website to where your email marketing is automatically capturing customers or potential customers or former customers that you want to add more to. And then don't forget, when you do have their email contact, you can do more than just spam them offers or try to get them to buy. You can create conversations with them that'll teach you more about how to run your business, like the customer experience, by figuring out what they want and need or what's interesting to them at this time and how maybe new things are affecting the way they feel about the industry that you're in. Email marketing is one of the most effective forms of marketing when done well. Sure, you know how to spam email, but some brands out there are great at creating compelling offers and providing great content to keep the attention of their customers over time. You can either purchase or rent email lists from data firms. I don't want to read. Next up is a website. A lot of new companies and old companies that have been around too long say, I need a website, simple website. Websites aren't that simple behind the scenes, but they should be simple in the front. The only thing is it takes a lot to make the customer experience or the visitor experience work really well, keep them interested, keep them engaged, and consider you when they're looking to make a purchase or sign up for something rather than someone else. It can be multifunctional. It can take payments. It can ask for more information. It can capture potential clients to follow up with later on for your sales team. And you've seen applications on websites that do a lot more than that. So just keep in mind, whenever something looks simple, it's usually not simple and a lot of thought goes behind it. But the way I like to approach website design, if you call it design or development, is starting with a good customer experience that's simple, and then figuring out, should you build more content around it, more blogs and videos, or should you make it more functional? Should you make it more informational, like creating a library of information like we have? But you start with a simple experience that people will find exactly what they're looking for very easily when they do come to your site. There's a lot of things that are black hat that most people don't do anymore that you can do to cheat your way to getting some eyes on it, but it never lasts and it doesn't even convert. In fact, it goes against the trust the audience of customers and future customers and past customers will feel about your brand. And once you lose trust, it's really hard to get them to do anything you want them to do, especially give you money for something. So websites are very powerful. They work well over time. They get better over time. And make sure whoever's doing it for you, whatever you're doing, makes it very easy for the person visiting to do what they want to do or find what they want to find. Ad campaign. People say, can you do Facebook ads? Yeah, I can do Facebook ads. So can you. Can you do them well? Maybe, maybe not. It's a very competitive market. You're bidding on Facebook space. Sure, there's a lot of people looking at it all the time. Same with Instagram, same with Google, but you are competing with other people that want to sell people stuff. So you have to do a lot of things to make sure that when you spend money for that space, the people do what you want them to do. Not just buy from you, but other steps before they buy from you and things after they buy from you that you want them to do, like buy again or refer them to another brand that you own or get testimonials from them, whatever it is. You need to target your audience well and do things like have good creative. So the main concepts of an ad campaign are budget first, of course, but you can work with any budget in digital because digital lets you spend a certain allowance per day, per week, per month, however you want. And you bid on that space. So you can bid, $4 for a click to your website, or you can bid $10 for 1,000 ad placements on Facebook over a week or a day, or I guess you could do a month and you get a couple hundred views every week. So make sure when you're building an ad campaign or you're getting someone to do it, that you look at the conversion rates for one, people seeing the ad, that they click on it and do something, and then two, what they do whenever they click on the ad and get to your website or event page or whatever it is you're leading them to. The difference between a 5% conversion and a 10% conversion is double. So essentially, every time you double your conversions, you pay half as much to get them to do that. So 1 out of every 100 people purchase something, increase that to 2 out of every 100. You're going to spend half on the ads and make the same amount of money. How do you do it? You know your audience and you have good creative. You use data to find out things about them. You ask people to find out things about them, potential customers, past customers, people within your company that know about the customers, or at least the people you want to turn into customers. You can create an ad campaign that targets people that buy perfume and sell them other cosmetics or nail polish because they might like the same sort of trend, or just the color pink because the perfume's name is pink. And then you think about connections like that, and it opens up other things like pink from Victoria's Secret. You could target those customers. So the targeting has to be good. It's going to save you money as well, and it's going to convert them more. Audience is a big part. Budget is the first part. And the third part is having good creative in your ad campaign. Your ad campaign creative needs to be data-driven and a little bit qualitative. Find out from your customers or experts at marketing to the same audience as you, not necessarily the same product or service, but experts at your particular audiences, what the creative is that they're responding to at that time. You can run an ad, the same ad for 2 years. Over time, it's going to go down. So stay on top of it. Find out what they're looking for and make sure your creative is changing. Make sure that they don't get ad fatigue, because once they see an ad too many times, they don't like it anymore. And make sure you're not losing trust just trying to be trendy or follow quick tips from other marketers or other marketing websites or people claiming to be experts. You don't want to do all the tips and tricks, but don't have the substance in the beginning to keep their trust and keep them engaged. Sure, they might click on something. Sure, they might look at you. Sure, they might even Google you. But at the end of the day, they have to trust you to open their wallet and give you money. And especially if you want them to do it over and over again and get the maximum lifetime value from that customer, client, or patient. Facebook ads. First thing I say about Facebook ads on the website is they are cheap and effective. I treat Facebook as more of a branding thing, less of a sales thing. You can get ads that sell on Facebook. I've done that too. It all depends on your total budget for your marketing and your advertising and even just the cash flow of your business. You can change it from $100 a week to $100 a day anytime you want, considering what money you have coming in and going out. But longevity always wins. Creating good trust with your Facebook ads that bring them to your organic social page is important. And budgeting the branding with the actual sales ads in other places can be a complicated thing. I will say this without going too far off of Facebook ads. You should have a marketing mix, and if Facebook ads is a part of it, you need to know the role it plays. Does it make people trust your brand? So when they do Google for bed sheets, they already trust bedsheets.com plus, or do you need to sell directly from Facebook because a lot of your people are on Facebook buying t-shirts that you sell, or other young people stuff on Instagram, like selfie sticks or whatever it is. So Facebook ads are good for branding. You can also use them to sell. I like to mix it up and do some Facebook ads for branding with some Google ads and some maybe a little bit of print, and always email and text marketing. But Facebook ads are good at capturing a customer and bringing them along for the ride until you sell to them. And then after you sell to them, you can keep them forever. It also finds data on them that they submit to Google, so you can retarget them and keep them for a future ad that you've already ran an ad against, and then remarket until you eventually sell them after showing them 7 ads in a sequence, step 1, 2, 3 to 7 on how to catch more snook. So there's a lot of things you can do with Facebook ads. It's not set it and forget it, click and walk away. You're going to want to watch it. You're going to want to find and test things that do better. You're going to want to run different things different times a year. And as always, different audiences need to have different ways of reaching them with your message. Last thing about Facebook ads, you're on Facebook, so create the ad for someone that's on Facebook. If you do any marketing studying these days, especially digital, then it'll tell you advertise for that place that you're in. And that's just something people forget. They get too caught up in the technicals of setting up the ad and how boring it is to do the data and the create this section and this is the next step. And they forget that the creative needs to be built for Facebook. So the video has to be made for Facebook, not for a tutorial or a HR introduction to a company about your corporation. It needs to be made to entertain, or it needs to be made to give information or give an offer that people are looking for. So make sure it matches the person that's going to be on Facebook while they're on Facebook, not while they're in the car driving, listening to the radio, if radio still exists when you see this. Instagram ads. Instagram's owned by Facebook. It's more visual. You should do more organic on Instagram if you have a visual product or service. Pressure washing is trendy visually, especially on Reddit. Food does well. Apparel and lifestyle brands do well on Instagram because people like looking at pretty stuff. But one thing people miss, and every time I talk to a new potential client, I don't even have to look usually and tell them that they're not showing enough human faces. So this is free game. Don't have just too many posts of just the food or just the clothes. You need to have human faces that are real and show genuine expression, and that will go way further than anything else you can do on Instagram. They're going to want to go back and look at your catalog of old pictures, sure, but if you want to really reach them as a human being and stand out from the competition down the road or across the street or in Georgia or in New York, you're going to need to really show an authentic person's reactions. And it doesn't even have to be using your product or service. It just has to be human. They're looking at a small slice of brick and seeing videos or reading stories or watching stories, and they're going to want a human connection, not just cool, pretty, yummy. So keep that in mind. Mix it up, and eventually you'll hook someone with a human face that they really feel connected with, and then that'll transform to a relationship with your brand when they see your egg rolls that you sell on Wednesdays. YouTube ads, YouTube's owned by Google. YouTube ads are video. They're sometimes longer form, minutes long, sometimes they're hour long, whatever. Sometimes they're 5 seconds. But you can target audiences on YouTube just like everything else in digital. It has the Google platform and Google customer data for targeting. You can use that to your advantage. You have to use that to your advantage. And it's a very complex budget section, because if you're not converting already on Google search or Facebook, you probably aren't ready for YouTube ads, because people on YouTube are looking more for entertainment. People on Facebook are looking more to engage, so it's a little bit better at selling. And people on Google search are actually looking for information to eventually make a purchase, or eventually go somewhere, or eventually fix something in their house. YouTube ads, people are sometimes looking for products or how to use a product, and you can insert an ad that shows something that might help them for doing that job, like a tool that you have that will help them with their car repair. But you really got to already have your Google search and your Facebook and maybe another Instagram or something set, so that way you're maximizing the budget there before you get into YouTube ads and try to find more of an audience. Now, you can use your Google search audiences from previous ad campaigns for YouTube and retarget them. So it's actually very powerful if you are adding another channel to your marketing mix. But do your research, make the video entertaining or informational or both, and make it compelling. Don't just try to look like everyone else. And you might hear me say that a lot about creating ads and ad campaigns or marketing campaigns in general, organic. But try to make it compelling and don't try to look like everyone else. Sure, you want to look professional, but it's more important to be authentic these days than it is to look like Pepsi or Coke. Google ads can be shown on Google or other places. They can be shown on other people's websites. They can be shown in other search engines. But Google ads are traditionally known as the Google search ads. They come up at the top. They say sponsored, or actually they say ad, I think, next to them now. And they can show up in search on maps. They can show up on regular search. They can show up places search. So as the platform expands, now it's even on YouTube, like we just talked about earlier, you're going to want to spend an amount of money that gets the ROI for your conversions, and then maximize that to as many audiences as possible. The good thing about Google Ads is it has a lot of customer data, and it's also anonymous. So you aren't picking out people. Google is picking out groups of people to show your ads to, and then letting them make the decision to engage with you by either looking at your website, clicking to call, or filling out a lead form. While on that subject, Google Ads has many ways to visually attract people to engage with your ad. They have call buttons, they have little lead forms and clicks to your website, many ads running at the same time to the same group of people and showing which ones work best. So Google is very good at helping people do something that they want to do, like make a purchase from you, which is what you want them to do, with as little friction as possible. For example, going to your website, clicking on the contact page, and then filling out a lead form is one way to get a customer, and some people will. But on Google, they can search for pants robbery, see your pants robbery service, and right in Google on their phone or on their computer, click a form and fill out, my name is Kevin, I live in Sarasota, and this is my phone number. Call me for pants robbery. And without even having to go to your website, click another thing, within 12 seconds, they've already given you the information. You can call them and get their money right away. So don't underestimate Google Ads. It's not just Google search. It's not too expensive if you know what you're doing. And you can also scale it up and spend as much as you want if you do your targeting right and you have a good product or service, of course, and a good customer experience and reputation. While on the subject of Google Ads, Google search ads are the ones where you search for something at google.com or in your phone URL bar if it's automatic default browser, and it comes up at the top of the search results. But they also come up at the bottom of the search results. When you click the next page, it'll be at the top and bottom of that next page if people are bidding on it. To get your ad to the top where most people click, you have to have good quality ads, and Google actually has a search ads tool when you create the ad that'll help you maximize the performance, get you more conversions, and give you an ad quality score that you can interactively live say, here's a title for an ad, here's a description. It'll say, hey, try this description, try these keywords in the title, and it'll help you get a good score. So that way, when you do pay to show your ads, they're more likely to click on it and more likely to show your ad at the top, rather than hoping that they scroll to the bottom and click on an ad, which rarely happens. It does happen, but it rarely happens. And the last thing I'll say about Google search ads is you can have it so you only pay for click. You can have it so you only pay for a conversion on your website. You get to adjust the bid. So you can bid $4 a click, or you can bid $10 a click. It's more expensive for professional services like real estate and lawyers. They're more competitive as well. And then it could be less expensive for other industries like online dating or something like that. And Google search has other search engines that plug into Google, so you can show your ads there, but I don't spend a lot of money there because I don't think the return is that good. Google remarketing ads. Remarketing ads essentially mean you take an audience that you already marketed to, you have them in an invisible database, and you show them another ad. You show them another ad after showing them something in the past. So you have a cohort here that did an action on your website, like signed up for a free guide, and then Google will show ads to those 10,000 people saying, hey, you had this ad, and then you say blank. Here's the second part of the guide. Here's the third part of the guide, whatever. So you can take people they've already marketed to and market to them again and know that you're going just to them. Why is this worth talking about? Well, because someone that's you've already marketed to, they probably have a more trust in you. They probably know about you already, and it's easier to convert them to buying. So the cost of converting that customer goes way down. That's why you do Google remarketing ads, or any remarketing ads, if you do it smart. You could waste a lot of money on it, but you can convert at a higher rate for cheaper and get more ROI. YouTube remarketing ads is about the same thing, except you're doing it on YouTube. You use the Google information that you have already from previous campaigns and audiences, and you can market to them. If they've already clicked on an ad that said, check out our free guide, well, now you can show them an ad on YouTube that says, hey, here's how we did that in real life. Here's how we cleaned that bathtub with this new product. And since they've already clicked on an ad before on Google search or something, or Google Maps, and now they've seen your brand there and on the YouTube ad, they're more likely to do something else. Maybe not buy still, but they're more likely to click and go to your website. They're more likely to click on your website and look at more information. They're more likely to go to your website, give you their email address to answer a question. They're more likely to go on your website and maybe even make a purchase. Customer targeting. Customer targeting is very important because you can do it. Digital, especially, lets you target people by age, even by income. You can pay a little more for targeting an audience, but the bigger the pool of that target audience with those attributes, the more space there is to show your ads, whether it's Google search or Facebook or Reddit. So the cost doesn't necessarily have to go up that much. It's also important because it lets you change your message and or the way it's delivered to that group of people. For example, everyone 16 and up or 18 and up might need car insurance, but you might not want to show the same ad to a 25-year-old who just got out of college and is in debt for law school. Wait, law school, you'd still be in law school at 25. Anyways, you might not want to show the same ad to a 25-year-old as you would a baby boomer, because what they're interested in and what's important to them is probably a lot different, even when it comes to car insurance. One might want the cheapest and one might want the lower deductible because they've already been in accidents or because that's just what they prefer in their coverage. So customer targeting lets you target by more than just age, and you can think about it outside of digital. So when we were running a $250,000 marketing budget for a company, we ran a lot of newspaper ads and even off newspapers like the local penny saver type stuff. And the reason why we did is because their demographic skewed older. A lot of their longtime customers or new customers that would come would be older, and they look at that stuff every day and they have their routine that they've had for a long time, and they check the paper every day or even just every Sunday. So we ran ads on Sundays, Tuesdays, at least twice before the date of the sale, and it converted a lot. People would say, we're looking for your ad, we didn't see it. Or when you they might either. So make sure, of course, but like change. You want to have because we're looking for catching up with their friends and what they've done. So use targeting to your advantage. Use targeting no matter what. You have to do it, especially if you have a smaller budget, but also especially if you have a really big budget, because the more money you're spending, the more money you could be throwing away or not getting the most out of. Influencer marketing. It should be more common than it is. You don't have to pay a Kardashian or a Segura, but you can pay a teacher that got Teacher of the Year to advertise your window cleaning company. You can get a college student to advertise your bar specials for this weekend. And the reason why influencer marketing is so interesting is because it's a lot of work and it costs a lot of money to but it is and they're more likely to be receptive to the message. And the message doesn't have to be a sales message. It could be a look at how gross is his message. My friends at Indo Window Washing told me about it. Just thought you guys would be interested. Oh, who is that? They're going to go check it out. Now at least they've heard of you, or now they're ready to buy something because they already use your vitamins or vitamins. So influencer marketing is still new for some reason, and a lot of people don't do it, but I used it a lot when I was helping promote shows, concerts. Just finding the right person that's at every show and throwing them some money to just mention that they're going to your show. If they're already going, it probably won't cost you that much money. The relationship will be good because you're not spending a lot, and they're the it, or then let when too much, you're not getting the benefit of their high skill level of engaging with their audience. So let them do whatever they want, even if it means something that is harder to pass with your marketing manager or director, because sure, we don't want them to say that you're pro Hitler, but if that's funny to their angsty teen audience, it might be good whether you want them to or not. So have a couple rules and guidelines, but the more control you give them, the better it will be, and the more they'll enjoy doing it. When someone enjoys their work, like I love being the CEO of the USA, you get way better quality out of them, you get way better return, and that's the cold hard bottom line that here are looking. Content is a phrase that has to do with everything that you put out. Let me rephrase. Content is everything you put out. It is the way you talk to someone in public when they're passing by in the grocery store line or at the mechanic shop. It is the way your blog reads, your videos deliver. It's the way your new product logo is designed. It's all content that is to be digested or shared. So when you're talking about an ad, your ad is content, and it could be based off of content from something you've done that you didn't put money into for advertising. So it could be a blog, then you run an ad on the blog. The ad is content directing to other content. So all of it is content, and the word content means to have something of substance. So make sure anything you do, it is way more important the quality and value than it is the amount that you put out for each channel. If you and that, but you $100 on different ads to see what to do. Make sure you look at the data, it'll tell you what to do. And this goes for not just ads, it goes for when you're making your blog, when you're making your podcast or your video series or your Alexa flash briefing. Use the data, it'll tell you what to do. When you make content, it'll show you what to do with other channels as well. So your content has tie-ins, but it's still delivered differently. The data will show you any ad to it's data. You lead they need a gravestone. When you're gathering leads, the quality of leads obviously matters. The way you market and capture them will help you figure out the budget you should be using based on the amount of cash flow that you have. So say we're converting $20 per person into a $100 customer. You can do the math on that and find out, okay, these leads are good, these leads are not as good. The leads here are better than the leads on this platform. This ad's leads are doing better than these leads from this ad. The most important thing about leads is tracking, and any CRM will do it for you. I like to use good old-fashioned Excel spreadsheets a lot of times. I also use Trello. I also use Airtable a lot. And you help want to be able to forecast as much as you can about what's going to happen next month, next quarter, next year, so you know who to hire, where, what to train for, or what to develop next. Customer. The most important thing about customers to me is that everyone is a customer as soon as they hear about your brand, whether it's someone in passing or someone that's never going to buy what you're selling. I still consider them a customer because once they hear about your brand, they can say something about it. They can say, oh, I heard them on the radio. It was annoying. Or they can say, oh, yeah, my friend bought a car from them. They're super nice, I hear. That's a customer. Even though they're not going to ever buy, they might talk to someone that is. And they are talking about your brand in a way that shows they have some sort of experience with it. So once anyone's experienced your brand, consider them a customer. This means that a lot of people you don't even know about are a customer. But through good branding, which is a whole other industry to me, through branding, you will always get great customer feedback, have people having word of mouth, having people return as customers when they are a huge fan of what you do, and really create something that's hard to penetrate by competitors. Customer acquisition, it goes with the phrase customer acquisition cost. Customer acquisition doesn't mean, to me, it means someone that paid you money for something. In the data that they show in the marketing world, customer acquisition can mean just getting an email from someone. It can mean just adding them to your database of people that you've ran an ad against and they're a future audience to remarket to. That sounded like a mouthful. It is, I guess. But customer acquisition these days means anyone that you've captured as a customer, whether it's email address, phone number, or even just their name. And you can measure it digitally by using website or Facebook Facebook ads, as in added to your page, added as a follower. But I like to track customer acquisition as people that actually paid money. If you have a freemium service, then I'll count that. But if not, I don't use data. I want to know my conversion. If I'm converting at a rate of 10% per ad spend, count. But go by ones that have paid you money. Another thing is it's hard to track and it's hard to the more data you have, the more analytics you have, it's harder to know what to do with that data and make decisions. So the best place to start is by the ones that actually give you money, not just the ones that give you their email address. But you should have a good mind about tracking all of these different types of acquisitions like email, phone, newspaper, and actual real customers and returning customers. But to start, I spend $500 on ads on Google Analytics or on Google Ads. I got 12 customers, so I can expect to do that again or better when I look at the data and look at the ones that I acquired their email address and the 2 that I actually converted into paying customers. At least it'll help you forecast that customer acquisition cost. I count customer acquisition cost whenever they become a paying customer. You could also calculate a customer acquisition cost as every lead that you get some way, from email, phone, getting their address to mail them something, or starting a freemium trial for a service. But if you're talking bottom line and you don't really want to get too much into the numbers, you want to go by the actual paying customers, seeing how much it costs to acquire each one. So the customer acquisition cost is how much it costs you to get a new customer. Doesn't count old customers. It can, but I don't. Customer acquisition cost. If I spend $100 to get a new customer and they're worth $1,000, what's the customer acquisition cost? It costs $100. Doesn't matter how much they pay me. Now, if I pay $100 and I get 5 customers, what's my customer acquisition cost? $20. I hope that math was right. I'm not really thinking too much about the math, but I try to make it simple enough to where I don't sound like a moron. Customer acquisition cost is good because it'll help you forecast money. Crap. It's of them were new. Other things like returning customers and patronage, like restaurants and bars, it could be a little bit different, but you can sort of track that by doing deals to cash in on, or counting how many people came in for their first free drink, how many of those you gave away, and how much that cost, and write that off. But it's a simple way that shows you a real important number for forecasting and knowing how much money you're spending and how much you're getting back. It's actually I wonder if it's my most important metric. It is the one that I study the most, probably, because it goes with conversions and everything. Yeah, it's probably the one I focus on the most, because I always want to scale. I always want to make more and more for someone. So if I have the customer acquisition cost, it's $300 to buy, and it costs me $20 to get them to buy that. That's great, because the margin is $280 on a $20 to get them. That's great. But I want to know if I can get it to 10. I want to know if I can pay 40 for that customer and get them to pay 320. The margin's a little bit less, but at least I know, hey, we're still making good money, and it easily offsets your 50% margin, cost of doing business, cost of goods. So it is probably my most important metric, because it's very simple. It's sort of like showing you how you're doing. It doesn't show how good your product or service is necessarily, but it does show you how good the bottom line of your business could be, because you're spending this much to get this much in return. Online marketing / digital marketing. They're essentially the same thing. It's not really that important of a term, but the most important thing to mention about it is very data driven and data expressive. So even if you're not spending money on ads, most digital and online platforms will show you the performance of the content you're putting out, the interactions you're doing. And it wants to show you that data to eventually get you to buy ads and spend more. And it's good for any business, because even if you don't want to do anything online and you hate Facebook and you hate computers, you can ask people on Facebook a question by posting this and then seeing which one people engage with more. It's that simple. Then you can use that information, close your Facebook account, and sell this thing instead of this thing at your business. You could sell concrete instead of brick houses. You can sell steel instead of plastic. So you don't need to actually do your marketing on digital to get good stuff from digital and online marketing. It'll concerts, and they uh, all that they do business moving forward and help them make more returns off of the money that they're using to deliver the experiences that they're doing. And they're actually growing down to this Florida area, so it'll help the old I think it's New York, Albany area. It'll help them there improve what they're doing and also tell them how to get started down here in a way that makes more sense, saves them more money, makes them more money, and does better use of the grants and the donations and the memberships that they already have coming in. Project. I don't define anything. Project is like if I'm putting together a whole ad campaign for Google, that's a project. If I'm putting together 10 campaigns on Google, that's a project. If I am making a video ad for another company, it, it, and I have a Facebook ad campaign idea that I want to run. It's a whole project to go from here's an idea or a feeling that I want to get them to feel. I think that I can do it with this joke. Here's how I'm going to make the joke look on video. And then here's how I'm going to make that video be 15 seconds. And then here's how I'm going to change that 15-second video and make it even better. And then here's how I'm going to run a test, $100 to see how well it's performing. Then I'm and we're going to run this ad. We're going to spend $200 a day. We're going to make $6,000 off of it. And we're going to start working on the next ad. That is a whole project to me. That's a whole Facebook ad project. It went from inception to analytics to getting feedback to changing it to pre-planning to post-production, all of that. That's a project. Here's another project. I have a meeting with a company that wants to do something, and I do research on their company. And then I go and have a meeting with them and I find out that they should do more stuff on their own before they hire someone like me. The research I did for that company, the studying on what they're currently doing and what they might want to consider, what they definitely should be doing, that research project to me, that's a project. So it can be something small, but at the end of the day, it's thoughtful. And it has a beginning and a checkpoint, and then usually not an end because it has to do with other stuff that's going to be working with in the whole marketing mix and the way you do business in general. But it's a thoughtful thing, and it has feedback coming back in to make decisions on how to improve it, how to change it, how to throw it away even. Marketing channel. Marketing channel is everything that has to do with your brand sending a message. So yeah, it has to do with radio advertising, but it also has to do with the way your waitress treats the people at her tables. A marketing channel is word of mouth. Marketing channel is stickers you post at gas pump. Different channels, but the message should be on brand and have some continuity. The ad you run on Instagram as a picture should not be the ad you run on a billboard as a picture. They should work together, but they shouldn't be the same. So differentiate your marketing channels, know what the person should experience when they receive the message in that channel, and then make the different ones work together. They saw a Facebook ad for Sarasota marketing, then they searched marketing 2 months later, and then they saw that the company that ran the ad on Facebook is now it coming from their search results. You want so that search results show up in a blog, an answer to a question. It's developed into a lot more than that. Now a big deal is Google Maps. Brick and mortar companies need good reviews. It's part of their SEO. Facebook, Reddit, all that stuff feeds into SEO. The hard part about SEO is keeping up with it and having patience at the same time. It changes. Google changes it. There's other search engines, but most searches happen on Google and YouTube, which are both owned by Google. And you want to keep up with it, but you want to have patience as well, because over the long term, the more people that have a good experience, the more Google is going to show it to them, the more Bing is going to show it to them. Some other things to keep in mind about SEO is, as long as the person is having a good experience on your website, for example, it won't get penalized, so it will show to more people. As long as you don't have to be flashy and try to clickbait them into doing stuff, because once they go to your page, if your page loads slow or it's not what they're looking for, they go away. Google tracked them and saw that they did not have a good experience on your website. They Googled this, you told them it was going to be there and it wasn't. They're out. It's not going to show it to people anymore, because then they'll start using other search engines. So as long as they have a good experience, they spend some time, they click through, they reach out to contact you, they even find a link on your page to another website from your website, Google will think that they found what they're looking for. So it'll show that search result to more people looking for that particular thing. That's the main philosophy from search engine optimization. Podcast is not just something that you can listen to on iTunes now. They're filming podcasts and putting them on Spotify, YouTube, right on their websites. But the goal of a podcast is to get people to like you more, maybe get more information and get some value out of you, or to get entertained. You don't need to have a podcast directly about what you're selling. You can have it talking about your community or highlighting people in your community that do cool things. All that matters in the philosophy of it is that you're delivering good content. The same thing applies to sponsorships. Yeah, you want to sponsor a podcast. Listen to it. Community. So the, you 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 chop that or has the target audience listener in mind. Podcasts are great on video too, because you can chop it up and make it into things like Instagram and Facebook stories. For example, you could take this podcast explanation and chop it into 2 parts, one about what it is and one about how to do it, and think about your target audience. And then you could chop it up maybe even more and have like a 4-part 15-second clip series on Facebook that says, Monday we're doing part 1, Tuesday part 2, and then Friday, when there's no part 5, you can say, hey, go to our website and use this link to find out more about how to podcast, or subscribe to our podcast. So instead of saying subscribe, or buy, you're saying no in sync. It's that some listen on headphones or SSL/TLS website security certificates. This is pretty much a given now, and most web hosting will automatically do it, but just to make sure you have it, whenever you go to a website on your computer or on your phone, there's the URL at the top, the website or web page address. Then there's a little lock icon next to it. That means they have a security certificate for their website, which proves that no other people can get the device that your customer puts in to the website. So if they want to put in their information and sign up and give you a password or their address or email, it'll go straight to you and not be lifted by someone devious with ulterior motives that are trying to get their information and maybe use their credit card number to do something fraudulent. So what it basically does is put the little icon on the top, and it saves them from seeing a warning sign when they go to your website. Google will automatically, either through the web browser or through not showing you the search results, try and stop visitors from coming to your website if it doesn't have a security certificate. A lot of old websites don't have them still. I do a lot of research for physician groups and into doctors and stuff, and you would think that with the more expensive clientele and the more expensive, higher earning professions, they would have a website that has a security certificate on it, which is free, by the way, that they would have it. But a lot of their old websites don't, and you can't go to their website very easily because Google or the browser itself on your phone or your computer will try and block you. You could be on your tablet and try to go see a physician that was recommended to you, but the browser on your iPad might say, hey, warning, this site is not secure. And it, and or a TLS certificate. Uh, you want to and you want to have, and the other part about that all of them are well known. Well, even you're, if you it, it, so hello, the, you're not to spend their time and their money. So keep that at the forefront. Whenever you make an experience, don't make it hard for them to experience what you're doing, and don't make it hard for them to enjoy it. Make it easy for them to do, easy for them to enjoy, make them want to come and do it again. So it costs less attention and resources next time to get them to do it again. Pay per click, PPC, it means you are they have to go to your website and perform a conversion action, like sign up for an email. That's not paying for a click, that's paying for a conversion. But most platforms will let you pay for a conversion because they'll put in trackers on your website with you, and you can track what people do on your website and then pay $12 to get them as a customer. And then the platform will even then know which people to target better and or but and it, the is make uh, make, you can cost clicks that also turn into people that purchase. So half the battle is keeping your costs low. The other half is to actually make sure that those costs turn into people giving you money back for the money you spend, return on investment. So when you're tracking your pay-per-click advertising, make sure that the clicks are being tracked in a way that actually shows which ones are turning into customers. Your audience will go into lowering your costs and also making them convert better. Your creative will go into it. Looking at the data from your past campaigns will help you, and it'll show you what to do next. Sorry, I wanted to make sure it was actually recording, so let me check. CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. CPM means cost for M. It's your it, every, as it, so it, and you could spend 10 impressions on one person. The reach is different than the impressions. The reach is the different people you reach. The impressions is how many times it was shown. So you can show 100 people the same ad 10 times and pay for 1,000 impressions, or you can show 1,000 people the ad one time, for example, and pay for 1,000 impressions. The cost is going to be different, but at the end of the day, it's still charging you per impression, not click, like pay per click or per conversion. It's paying you for every 1,000. It's a good round number to where they can say, we showed this 1,000 times, regardless of where they were. It was inside your audience at least. Here's how much it costs. You paid for 100,000 impressions this week at $10 each, 10 times 100, $1,000 for 10,000 impressions. I don't remember the math, but that's cost per impressions model for charging you for ads. Another thing about cost per 1,000 impressions, it kind of came from like magazine and newspaper advertising where they're saying, hey, we have a subscriber count of this and we sell this many. And then they want to say, oh, people that's actually wrong or prove them right. Cost per acquisition, CPA. It's similar to customer acquisition cost, except cost per acquisition can be the cost of a paying customer, but it's anything that has to do with acquiring the customer's information. So even if you just get their name and email, that's acquisition. And I say, I paid $1 per acquisition. I bought 1,000. Now, each or straight up give you a sale and give you their credit card and you can charge them. But the cost per acquisition is generally getting a database full of customers that either have or haven't purchased yet. It's good to track because it helps tell, okay, we have a lot of people coming to the website, but not all of them are getting sold to. Well, I still want to know about the people that haven't bought yet because I'm paying for those, whether it's through paying someone to develop my website and do blogs for free, or it's for the ads that are directing them there, or my business cards I give out that tell them to come to my website. I still want to know how much it costs to actually capture information from them and turn them from lookers into people showing interest and wanting to get more information from me, get a deal from me, get sold to, or give money to. Customer lifetime value, LTV is how it's abbreviated, lifetime value. When you get a new patient and they have to come get for a checkup every month, their lifetime value isn't just the one visit. It's every visit that entire month, plus the next 11 months that year, plus however many years that they stay a patient with you. So you want to do things like maximize your lifetime value of your customer by having a good customer experience, a good patient experience, a good client experience. Because if you pay $1,000 to get a $3,000 purchase, that's great. You paid $1,000, you made $2,000 before you take out the overhead. Well, what if I can get them to buy again next year for another $3,000 and I don't have to spend hardly any money? I just follow up with the email. You say for well, it might be harder next year to get another $3,000 from them, but if you charge them only $2,000 the first year and then charge them only $2,000 the next year, then you made $3,000 instead of just $2,000 off of 1 year by keeping them there for 2 years and then extending their happiness another year. So that way the third piece of the lifetime value and the fourth are better and better. Not only did you make more money than the one shot, you did a two shot, gave them a discount and still made more money and have more likelihood of bringing them on for a third year. It's just like leasing a car. People are more likely to come back and buy or lease from you if they have a lease from your dealership because you have contact with them, they have a good experience, and they got a good deal. That's customer lifetime value. It's complex and it's fun because it makes laugh. A, a, and remember, every it's the the creative. Creative refers to content. Creative is knowing how to use data and translate it into human form. Whether it's an art canvas or it's a 15-second ad on YouTube, your creative is the toughest part. You can do things really simply and you can make a ROI that you're happy with as long as you study the data. The more creative talent you have working and the better your team understands the data and how to translate the data, the more return you're going to have on all of your marketing, whether it's organic free stuff or it's paid advertising. Creativity also gets into your customer experience. If you get creative at a restaurant called Zoomies, then you can get people to come back again and again and spend less to acquire them, spend less to get them to come back, spend less for their word of mouth to tell their friends about it. So you just the, the it, you spend less. The creativity in marketing could be 3 different PhDs in one because you're using creativity to do number stuff, you're using it to do qualitative stuff, you're using it for consumer behavior application. And very important to understand the applications and how complex it can be while still not paying too much for creative minds to be on your team. But anyways, yeah, it's just basically creatives being good with the information you're given from the world, whether it's data or human beings. Data is the information. You can get data from word of mouth from a customer while you're at their house. You can get data from Facebook posts that you don't put any ad money behind and see what people are interested in or not interested in. Or you can get it from the ads, pay to show it to 10,000 people and see what is said about it, to see what people do with the information. Do they click on the ad? You can tell if people would rather call you or email you to become a customer. You can tell all sorts of things. But having people around that know what to do with the data is more important than how much data you get. Because if they don't know what to do with the data, they're going to spend resources and time of yours doing things or trying things or working on things that might not return as much on your investment. One of the things we do really good is knowing where to spend resources, getting the data from different platforms and using them all at the same time. You get data from your website, from Google, from Facebook, from newspaper. Knowing what to do with that data for each platform is important. Knowing what to do with each one of all is and good. So here, but it also works better. It's you're not 10,000 converted 0 of them into a customer. So no, well, to for to so let's it, analytics. So analytics is just taking the data and putting it in statistical stories where you can tell. For example, Google Analytics will tell you a lot of stuff about the people, where they're visiting from. It'll even tell you what kind of phone they're using, what kind of web browser they're using on their computer. So analytics is pre-made statistical charts, numbers, percentages that tell you what people are doing. How you use the analytical data goes back to actual data synthesis and figuring out what business decision you should make next. But every platform digitally generally now has an analytics component. Facebook ad platform, Instagram ad platform. It has analytics built into it. It'll tell you stuff. And it's up to you or your marketer to decide what's the next play with those analytics. Or do we do the same thing with them? Google Analytics will tell you what your people are doing on this page of your website, this page of your website. Do we need to improve this page or all the pages? Do all the pages link together correctly? Analytics tells you what is happening so you can figure out what to do. Benchmarks. So how we got good at what we do is I listened to experts and I just kept doing it until I got good at it. And then what I would do is find out what the pay per click average is in the marketing world by the professional marketing agencies that are international. And if the cost per click average was $8, I would try to get my cost per clicks less than $8. And once I had a statistically significant sample size where, okay, I got 1,000 clicks for less than $8, that's a statistically significant number. How do I get it to 7? How do I get it to 6? Eventually, I would try to double the benchmarks. So if it's 8 cost per click in this industry, I would try to get it to 4 or less. Every time I learned a new thing like website conversions, SEO, visits, Facebook ad engagement, I would take the benchmarks that are reported on by the big agencies and I would apply that to my goals. And then that made me better at connecting the Facebook ad to the Facebook page, to the website page, to the product I developed for that company, and then how much money did I make off that? So everything plugs in together, and I use benchmarks as a way to judge myself. When you look at benchmarks for your company, you want to know, okay, I know that they're selling out of this product, my competitors, I want to sell more. Okay, but are they making the same margin? Are they a value seller or are they a premium luxury item? Knowing benchmarks tells and the, the not the and it even gives you you might add it could, we've met is spend, it's not total marketing spend. So I'm, but I'm the ad how so the ad spend is a good measurement of like a black and white. We spend this much and we made this much this month. So it's a good thing to track. It doesn't tell the whole story, but basically when people talk about ad spend, we changed our ad spend from $500 to $1,000 this month. Then you know, oh, they must have been doing something right because they spent twice as much on it to get more return back. The important note I'm going to say here, this is just obviously introduction to these definitions like ad spend, but the important thing here is that when you're spending on ads, you can't just double what you're spending all the time and expect the same result. There's diminishing marginal returns, law of diminishing marginal returns, where it says, eventually it's going to get less and less of a margin, convert less and less people. So you can't just plug in and say, oh, we're going to spend $5,000 this month on the same audience, on the same ad in the same town, and get the same that we did with $500. It doesn't work like that. It can sometimes, like from 100 to 200. You want to maximize that. That's fine. But eventually, as you start scaling, you're going to need an entire campaign analysis and a marketing channel audit to show how the Facebook ads work with the Google ads, how many saw both, how many got the email and the mailer and then converted into a sale, how many came back for a second one, how much are we spending on ads to get them to do this action, and then see these separate actions that we got them to do with the ad spend and how's our business doing, at least on the top line. Optimization is a term that just refers to getting people to do an action more often, and it has to be desirable. So you don't want people to go to your website and then exit out. You want to optimize so they go to your website and spend time there, or they go to your website and click to another page, or you want to optimize a Facebook ad to get more people to click on it and then go through your website and do more stuff. And optimization refers to every step of the buyer's journey, every step of the process. So when you talk about sales funnels, there's the top people where they're just interested a little bit, then it goes down to they're ready to buy. If you optimize for every single step, then you make more money, you spend less money. Now, a sales funnel can be built based on Facebook, based on website, based on Google search, and it can be based on a combination of these and optimizing them to do what you want them to do for different services or products, or all one service and product, but all of them working together and you optimizing every step of the way. So the buyer journey could be Facebook ad, Google search result, email, purchase, or it can be Facebook ad, purchase. Either way, you need to optimize the Facebook ad to get more clicks to the purchase, and you need to optimize Facebook ad to Google search to email, optimize all four of those things to get them to purchase. So every step of the way you're optimizing, when you start doubling up on optimizations to where you get 10% instead of 5% of people clicking through your ad or visiting your website and then turning into a customer from 10 to 20%, then what you're doing is creating arbitrage that you can scale more easily and obviously make more money and spend less money at the same time. So optimization refers to all of it, including engagement optimization or whatever. Your goal should be what drives the optimization. We don't want to pay a marketing company or a marketer to get you 1,000 clicks that cost $2 each if only one of them turns into a customer, because they're not optimizing the ad spend. They're just optimizing the clicks and showing you, hey, look how many clicks I got you for this. Well, if they're not if they're clicking and they're not buying your junk, then that's not a good metric. So the goal you have in mind is to sell something or to get people interested. Create campaigns around that, and you optimize each step so that way they do what you want them to do, not just show good data to your boss or to the client. Attention. Attention is your negotiation with the human being to look at your marketing, to use your product. Everything is time. Everything, if people say time is money, it's not really. Time is whatever people want to do with their time, whatever they're paying attention to, or whatever they're trying not to pay attention to, like with entertainment. When you have a person's attention, it is more valuable than both of you realize. Not saying anyone is dumb. It's just you can never fully realize how important attention is and how much important time is, because we're all sort of well adjusted, right? So when you have someone's attention, whether it's an email subject line from your company or it's a coupon in a penny saver, you have to understand that you are trying to afford their attention. We use that to do things like convert people into customers, but it's basically a philosophy starting point to where you generate value for that person by knowing that you're paying for their attention, whether it's money or creating something. So just be aware of that as a starting point for who you hire or whatever you produce to get people to enjoy working with your business or begin their customer journey. You're becoming a customer. Likewise, message. Message is what you're saying to them, but I bring it up because your message might be the same in the newspaper as it is on a billboard, but you don't run a television ad that just shows your billboard for 30 seconds. What you do is you make a billboard that makes it easy for people to see, get information quickly because they're supposedly driving by and looking, and then hopefully remembering or whatever they need to do that you want them to do with that billboard message. And then on television, you need to make a 30-second ad spot that says, hey, they're in their living room watching television. How do I make them like me with this 30 seconds? So the message is always going to be different. Facebook, billboard, email. You can have similar messaging, but in continuity between all the different channels. But the message itself is built around that platform and that audience. We talk a lot about audience and targeting. Well, if you're showing it to people watching this show and they skew older, it should be thoughtful of that. If it's younger people, it should be thoughtful of that. The message can be similar or even exactly the same, but the way it's delivered and produced needs to be thoughtful for you to get the maximum impact and obviously eventually save you money and make you more money. So when we talk about message and we talk about attention, we're talking about starting points to creating effective, impactful place in the world, in the business, in the industry, whatever. Branding. I wish I didn't say this for last, but maybe it's better because I could talk forever about it. I just wish I had the starting flow energy, but branding is the entire experience from whenever someone hears about your brand to whenever they're inside your restaurant swallowing broccolini. So branding is not just the logo. It's not just the name. It is how people feel about your brand, how people feel about Pepsi, how people feel about Pecky Interiors, how people feel about Casey's Seafood, how they feel about being there, how they feel about even planning with their friends to go eat somewhere, how they feel about renting the video from your video store. It's everything that has to do with your brand, starting with feeling, and then eventually you get them to buy your stuff or use whatever you're doing. Branding is how your receptionist answers the phone. It's how they hang up the phone. It is how they email your patients. It's how your lawyer's office looks, the decorations you have on the wall. It's everything about the way you do business, knowing that someone is going to receive any part of it. You can't control everything, but you can control what you do for your branding in as many ways as possible. And a lot of it doesn't have to do with paying a lot of people for creative work. It can just be processes in place. Make sure that what you're doing is the best thing for people. And a lot of it will transform into doing more stuff or promoting more aspects of your business that you discover people like more. But it's the starting point of how you do business and how people feel about it. Probably not well put together spiel about it, but I wanted to hit as many points as possible to get you thinking about branding. Customer journey. We're also talking about sales funnels. We can talk about customer journey, but customer journey starts when they're thinking about making a purchase in your industry. It could be your product versus another same product. It could be purchasing a movie ticket versus going home and watching Netflix for something they already paid for. Your customer journey starts as soon as they hear about something that you do, and you're trying to optimize every step of their journey, pay for their attention in some way, whether it's resources or money, get them to like you more, trust you more, and eventually be interested in buying something from you or signing up. And it's not a one-way street. It is not one marketing channel. It's not one website, though it could be. It could just be a website that you don't ever do anything on. But their journey to get to buying something from you or someone else has multiple steps, whether you're there or not. Try to be there. Try to give them good messaging in a way that they want to see it, at the place they're at the time they're at, in their life, in their customer journey. Two separate things. And you'll optimize better, spend less, make more money. At the end of the day, help them more and be a happier person, improve their life. Search engine, everyone knows Google because Google is the best at it. They were the fastest at it, and they improve all the time. Bing is also a search engine. There's other search engines that plug into Bing and Google. They have similar ad platforms if you're running ads on them, but essentially the goal of a search engine is to give the person that's searching what they're looking for, and they do it they judge how good it is, I should say, by looking at things like how much time the customer spends on your website, not necessarily if they buy or not. How often they click through your website to other pages, how often they click to your website, find what they're looking for and go to another website, how often they click your email, go to your website and then download an app. So the more often people legit find what they're looking for, or what they didn't even know they were looking for yet, and that's the one I like to try. I try to get people to look for things that they didn't even know they were looking for and show it to them. But the better you are at that, the more a search engine will optimize your experience with them and their experience with you. So keep that in mind. It's not just about keywords. It's not just about having a sexy video on the top of your page. It's about giving people what they want, even if they know they didn't want it. And that's my philosophy. That's free game for you. Web development. Web development is the design of your website, but can also be your website over time creating a library of knowledge through a blog or blog and videos or blog videos and podcasts or just podcasts. Or it can be your website developing to do more than just show a customer the phone number to call and the pressure watching services they could get. It could be going from just telling them the number to call to taking payments and charging them every month. Or it could be giving them a customer form that they keep up with every month, or it can be them logging in to make appointments at your office every 6 months or something. The websites now are powerful. They're pretty much applications in themselves, and you could spend a lot of money on it. You could spend a little money on it. You can figure out a lot how to do yourself. You can plug in applications that are built out there for free or for low cost or high cost. But the web development itself refers to getting your website or app to do what you want to do for your audience and building the right things with the budget that you have for it. Platform refers to a channel or a place where you send a message from. So it could be your website is a platform for you to give people more information or show people entertaining stuff, get them to play a game. Facebook is a platform. A lot of platforms come with analytics when they're digital, but newspaper is also a platform. Newspaper shows, hey, I'm not afraid to run an ad in the newspaper because I know that you're reading it. A lot of people ignore you. They have bad ads in the newspaper, but I have a good ad in the newspaper that I know you like because I know a lot about you. So think of me this Saturday when you go out for lunch. A platform should be, you need to be thoughtful about your platform because the audience is doing different things. If they're on Facebook, they're looking to get in touch with people or figure out what's going on, maybe make plans, maybe look for a video game to buy for the weekend to play and try out. But someone on Google search is a different platform. They're not there for entertainment a lot of the times. They might be looking to find entertainment, but they're usually looking to find an answer to something or find something that they're looking for. So that platform is different from this platform. And it's important to know what platform they're on and the experience they're going through. So that way the message you make on that platform will be the message that makes them do something or entices them to do something that you want them to do. That's why we talk about platform and actually define it. Creative arbitrage. When you have data and you have money to spend, the best way to make your money stretch more is to pay more for creative. I don't say this because we're good at it. I say this because you pay for 1,000 impressions, $10 at a time. The only way to make that money stretch further is to spend more on the placements or to spend more on a better ad that converts more. You're going to make way more money when you have good creative that converts twice as many people rather than paying twice as much to convert twice as many people. Why? Well, that math is simple and it's even. But creative also compounds and pays dividends. Things like word of mouth. You pay for the ads, but it's creative enough to where people share it to help other people or to entertain other people in their network. That's free game. You have people talk about it at work. Did you see that cool ad about this? That's arbitrage. People become a customer and a fan. They follow your podcast and make a purchase. And then they're also listening to your podcast because it's so good and because the ad to get them to follow you was good. That's arbitrage. That's going to pay dividends. So creative arbitrage isn't just a simple math. It's it adds and compounds in a way that's hard to model the attribution, because it's harder to find how many people word of mouth something that you did. It's easy to see the analytics and the results of the ad or the results of your social posting and see how many people saw it, how many people liked it, commented. But there's the magic that happens that we can't yet do with digital or do with newspaper reports that are definitely making you more money and making more people like you and more people aware of what you do. And you can have creative arbitrage. It's the simplest way to pay for something that gets you this. It's harder to pay for the ads in the space and get the arbitrage than it is to pay for talent or intelligence. And obviously human resources is one of the most interesting things right now. People are hard to get. Talent is incredibly expensive right now, but it's still one of the most important things we can hire for as everything becomes commoditized and digitized. So I think it's the most important thing to spend money on if you're hiring. And I'm not talking just for marketing and advertising. I'm talking about you want creative arbitrage in someone that you hire to install cabinets. You want them to be good at problem solving. You know when you've had a good hire. You've had a good hire to where they knew what they were doing, they were interested in it, and they were curious. So then you put them on the job and they saved you a bunch of money one time. That probably happened to you. That's one of the most major ones. Or it's not as often they created a widget that makes production go from X to Y. It's more they saved you money. They're a good problem solver. They figured out a way to step in and solve a problem that they had or a problem that you had that you didn't know that they would step in and do. So when you're talking about creative arbitrage, you're not just talking about good ads that are sticky or good ads that convert more. You're also talking about your employees and how good they are at problem solving, making customers interested in the service or the product that they're getting. So I think it's one of the best investments. It's just one of the most expensive. So I like to talk about it. Website rescue. I just call website rescue a term because like a lot of them don't have security certificates, SSL certificates, and Google won't even show your page right away if you don't have one. And then some websites are still from 2007 and you can tell when you go to them that they look like they're from 2007. You want a website rescue when you want people to trust you after visiting your website, first and foremost. Second of all, you want them to be able to do more than they used to be able to do. You want them to be able to make a payment. You want them to be able to send you an email easily or contact you via form. You want them to be able to see your new product if you haven't updated it with your new product or service. You want them to see the new person you hired for customer service and see their smiling face and know a little bit more about them. A website rescue is basically taking the whole thing, overhauling it, and bringing it up to date, both in appearance and functionality. It's good for trust, it's good for converting, and it's good for taking the money you spend on your website already and making you look more proud of what you do. Conversion rate. I talk about conversions. The conversion rate is how often people go from point A to point B. It happens from ad to website. It happens from website to page. It happens from Facebook ad to website to page to contact page to form to converting them to a paying customer over the phone. Conversion rate is converting X out of every 100. You convert that many percent. Next step, you convert this many percent. Next step, you convert this many percent. That's conversion rate. It's just the math of how to base how well what you're doing is performing. And it happens on different platforms, different channels, intermixed intermingled channels, part of the buyer process, the customer journey, all the different routes they can take to get from point A to point 246. Okay, that's it for the terms. I also have open rate here. Open rate is how many times your email gets opened. Your subject line has to do with how often your email gets opened. It also has to do with what folder you're in. If you're in the spam folder, you're not going to get a big open rate. But it's part of email marketing. It's part of text marketing, how often they open your message. Text marketing, open rates are very high because people generally check every single text message they get because it goes right to their hand. But open rate is how often they open the message from your email or text or your app notifications.
Martin's glued coins onto snail mail brochures and managed $250,000 marketing budgets for small businesses. From citrus sellers to surgery centers. He pulls no punches on our website or any of our content when bragging about how to do what we do well. Follow, like, subscribe, or do whatever, wherever you want. We have a podcast, Alexa Flash Briefings, Facebook, TikTok, and all that. And if you decide to partner with us, you know you'll get to relax since we've got that 100% 5-star review and success rate over all the years we've been around. What are you saying there? Martin's glued coins in a snail mail brochure? What does that mean?